Have you ever wondered how healthy your soil is? Today we're going to be doing some testing with common household items that you can use to test aggregation on your farm or garden. Okay, so we're going to start off just looking at some soil that we've collected from here in Arizona. This is MyLand service soil compared to their control soil or native soil that's on the property. We're looking at the control soil here, so you can see this soil here. You start to see some of the forms of the aggregation, really sandy, really silty, obviously looking to get a little more water holding capacity, hoping to get a little more organic matter built in there. Very rich, dark here. You can see the larger aggregates already being produced. We're gonna start with the slake test. So again, common test. These are just some glass columns. You can really use anything you want here. You just really wanna be able to see through whatever you're using, and you wanna use something that's of equal volume. We don't wanna throw off the volume with any other strange sizes or anything. So try to get equal volumes. What we have here is the soil collected. I have these great, you can use any kind of netting you want. Some people will use rabbit wire, whatever you have around. These drain covers work really well and they hold their form really clean. So otherwise, the only supplies we have here are some paper plates. So we do use deionized water. If you can't find deionized water, which is pretty common for most people, you can use a nice mineral water. With that, we can get started. And what we're gonna do is just drop these nicely loaded soil samples in. And what we're gonna see when we do this is they get contact with the water and they start breaking apart. And what that is the water moving into the soil pore space and in between those aggregates, and it's gonna pop those aggregates apart and it's gonna loosen things up. And what we wanna see is we wanna see not that much of those aggregates falling apart. We wanna see them mostly holding together when they're exposed to water. Now, as we talked about earlier, the control soil was already very sandy, silty, so you can see it's really falling apart quickly. There's not a lot of aggregation there. We're getting a lot of collapse, a lot of things falling through. Where the more aggregated soil has a tendency to hold its form a little better under this pressure of water. So as we build with the MyLand services, we add the live native algae, we start getting these exopolysaccharides, we start seeing all kinds of glumalin production, and we build that microbiome. You get that glue that kind of binds together these aggregates and kind of builds this system up. Now, this isn't a hard test where you can say, I have 10% aggregation or 5% aggregation. Soil labs are best for that. But what this will show you is what is a better soil to be growing in. Again, more aggregation, better water holding capacity, more organic matter, and you're building the home for these microbes to live in. You're building a place, an environment. And always remember that environment impacts the population of what's there. So a better environment, hopefully we're building the populations that we want in the soil. So in this setup here, we're gonna be looking at aggregation again. This test is a real simple test again. You can do this at home. It's really just deli containers with holes drilled in the bottom. Again, deli containers with holes drilled in the bottom. We wanna add equal amounts of soil. And what we have here is we have some water that I'm gonna put in this top container. And what this is gonna show us is how that water, that when it rains, is moving through your soil column. So normally speaking, this is kind of an outlier because we have very sandy soil here. So you'll know if you do a lot of farming or gardening, you get a pan at the top of your soil when it's very sandy or silty, so you'll see the water gather, and then all of a sudden you'll have a big release of water through that column. The more aggregated, the more heavily organic mattered soil is gonna hold that water a little better because you have a little higher water holding capacity, and then you're gonna see less water move through the column over time. Really all you need here is regular tap water. We don't need anything fancy like deionized water or anything. You can use tap. I do say maybe grab mineral so you know it's filtered from the store. And we're just gonna go ahead and dump this through. You're gonna same equal amount of water on top here. And you can see on this less aggregated soil how quickly that water is moving through that column. If it's catching it because those particles are bound together, because you have the ions holding them together, not a lot of secondary stuff going on there as far as natural biological glues that are gonna be holding that together. This one, you can see it's moving through quickly, but we have a lot more water coming through here. So what this is demonstrating in your soil column is how much of that leaching you're gonna get of your fertilizers, your whatever you're using down through your column. It's also showing that something like this super sandy soil, it's already done draining. we're still draining here. So this is holding more water long term. You say, well, that's nice. Why do we want to hold more water? Well, we want to hold more water because the more water that's in that soil column, the less stress you're going to have on that plant. That plant doesn't have to adjust to these huge wet, dry cycles. So it's a real nice test you can do if you're ever curious, if something you're doing to your soil is working to build aggregation. This is a neat test you could do at your house just to see what's working, what's not, and kind of get an idea of where your water holding capacity is, where your aggregation is in the soil. We're back to a third test here, new test. This is real simply just called a slump test. You can use the soil, if you did a slake test earlier, you can use that soil. You don't have to do this separately. We like to do it separately just for demonstration purposes, but totally up to you. So what we have here is just 2 clear cups, regular water, these lovely drain covers again with our soil in. We have the MyLand service, which you can see is a little more aggregated, a little darker. This is a little lighter. This is the control. This is the native soil. And all we're gonna do is just go ahead and drop these in. And we're gonna let the water move through this. Now, you can see you get the similar effects to the slake test. If you watched a previous video or were seeing this one earlier, you'll see how that soil is kind of crumbling through. What we want is just the soil to sit long enough to kind of get it all wet. You want it to be very representative of what a wet sample is going to look like. You can see just left over on the plates, me moving those, you already had a lot of that move through the screen onto this. You lost a lot of the sand and stuff, a lot less here. So we got these pretty muddy now. We're just going to pull them out. And we're just literally, this is kind of the fun part. You just kind of make a mess. And we see what kind of structure we have left over on these plates. So this is our control, our native, and you'll see how that kind of no structure there at all. I mean, it's just a glob of mud for the most part. You can see there's some organic stuff in there holding it together, but for the most part, I mean, if you wanted to make a pot, this might be the one to do it with. This is our treated. This is the MyLand treated serviced soil here, and you can see we're still having these aggregates kind of stand up. It doesn't slide across the plate as well. It's not just a lump. Real similar, kind of brings you back to the other tests, easy peasy in the field. All right, that's the wrap on 3 easy soil tests at home. So if you need any more information, you can visit us at myland.ag.